Three, two, one. What up, everybody? Welcome back to Fish and Grits, the podcast.
Bang, bang.
Atlanta's newest, and some might say most agreeable podcast about sports, culture, news, whatever we want to talk about. I'm Lionel McNamara. I'm joined by my co-hosts with the mosts, Micah Poole.
What up?
Ryan Dollar.
Episode 11, now with more sodium.
And Marco Restrepo.
Hey.
Ladies, by the way, quick note. We just heard from Marco. He is eligible. He is an eligible bachelor. So if you're looking for a guy that will talk to you about chemtrails and then write you a song potentially about your chemtrails,
Maybe.
Marco's the one. It's good to be back. It's good to be back, guys. That was really nice of you guys to not record last week while I was unavailable. That was great.
Yeah, that's what happened.
It was fantastic that you guys didn't do an episode of CFL great Byron Parker. That was really cool of you.
Yeah, we were considerate. We had a big discussion about this and decided.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're back. Hey. Just a reminder to everybody who's jumping in. I know I got friends who listen just because they're my friends. But if you're new here or whatever, bit of a warning, our language gets a little coarse sometimes. We mostly say things to make each other laugh. This is really just our group chat as a podcast. You know, we had like a group text going. It was green bubbles because of Micah and his Galaxy S5 that he uses for a phone. And then you guys notice that once we swapped to the like podcast chat, like the actual group chat is just like,
does
anyone know?
It's MIA.
Does anyone know
sort of
if,
died before
Quincy's alive?
Yeah,
I know Quincy's alive. So
besides
from
the
time to time to shut
occasional words of what was the last who am I forgetting about who was in that chat?
Myron, Carlos.
Myron would always say encouraging and positive things. Just
Yeah, from time to time, Myron's the only one that keeps it rolling.
all right.
Yeah, Carlos, quick shout out to Dr. Carlos Vasquez. He's at the beach right now. Yeah, that's what I said. Which sort of brings us to current events. You know, talk a little bit about current events. The coronavirus COVID-19 epidemic continues to wreak havoc across our great nation. I myself am dealing with a little bit of fallout from that. I don't have the Rona, at least we don't think so. Yeah, but we've got 2 potential exposures, and that has led to my wife being trapped in quarantine in our bedroom. I recently completed The Last of Us 2, so I've piled up all of the furniture from the living room in front of the bedroom door so that she can't get out in case she turns into a zombie.
Did she wrap herself in toilet paper? Oh wait, that's a mummy, not a zombie.
And a swing and a miss.
Wow. Hey, we just found our first highlight for the episode. That's fantastic. Anyway, so for those of you listening at home, if you hear my children or if they run in here and start screaming or whatever, I'm solo dolo 24 hours a day on the parenting front. So I would apologize, but I don't care enough to. But here's the thing about the COVID stuff, man. Okay, so I did some of the math the other day. We have the most cases of anyone on the planet, right? Like, let me give you specific numbers. So my former stepmother posted something on the internet where she was like, all of these women-owned countries had no coronavirus and all these men-led countries did. And like on the male-led countries, there's like Italy and France, which had pretty significant outbreaks, right? But I was looking at the female-led countries, and I was like, let's just wait one fucking minute. Iceland's population, yeah. So with the exception of Germany, if you added up the population of Iceland, which has less people than Metro Atlanta, like people who live in the city, Okay. So Iceland, Taiwan, New Zealand, Norway, Finland, and the Netherlands. They have all of those countries added up have 20 million less people than France does.
Wow. Wait, so they're saying that those countries have staggeringly low numbers?
Yeah.
And they got it under control super quickly, right?
Yeah, low
But, like,
population, less density, easier to control.
you don't have a massive city. Like, you don't have fucking Paris or Rome. Like,
Yeah, what's your
come on,
metro
like-
system look like over there?
well, and then we look at like Germany, right? Germany was the other one, Angela Merkel as their chancellor. They have 80 million people who live in Germany, right? And there's 67 million people live in France. Their infection rate is 0.25%. Both countries.
Wow.
So the other thing is that Paris had a huge spike, and so did Italy, right? Huge spike. Like, it was moving super fast. And then the night before lockdown, everyone in Paris went out and got drunk. And then the next day, no one went outside. And they were locked down for like 2 weeks, and now they're back out partying and drinking and stuff like that, right?
Say no Americans can come here.
So we had 3.4 million cases here in the United States, I believe. Hold on. Let's do some quick Googling. You can't hear me typing like Ryan because I have a 2020 MacBook Pro with a, what's it? Not butterfly keyboard.
Extremely shallow keyboard.
Sorry. 3.43 million cases here in the United States. The population of the United States is about 330 million. So we're running at about a 400% higher rate of infection, right?
USA. Right?
So I'm over here like, what's happening? And, you know, some of it's the crazies, right? Like, you know, Texas Governor Tony Abbott told everybody that they should wear a mask now, finally, after, you know, however many months.
Trump had a mask on too.
I know.
Kind of.
I retweeted it. But so Tony Abbott did that, and you should have seen the replies to his tweets that was like, everybody should wear a mask so that we don't kill each other. People are like, you're a Democrat now.
So protecting
Biden
lives
failed.
equals democratic?
It's almost as if 40 years of defunding public education and de-emphasizing science at the expense of tax cuts for the rich have had a systemic effect on the intelligence of the nation. But I just host a podcast from my kitchen. But I think I'm going to put, you know, I've got this like, I haven't been here for, 2 weeks. So I've got a lot of pent up stuff. But I've got a history of putting my family on blast on this podcast. So I think part of it is definitely like the crazies, right? But I think the other part of it is people are just bored, with the COVID, right? And members of my family are planning a multi-week, multi-state vacation coming up here. And these are the same folks that are like, posting on Facebook, like, stay home, save lives. I'm going to drive for 30 hours and then spend 2 weeks on vacation. And I've been talking to them and I've just been like, why do you think that this is okay? They're like, well, we have masks and things like that. I'm like, that's neat. But like, we're just now learning that your immunity to the coronavirus wears off after like 5 months. Like, we're still learning stuff about this virus. It's not like herpes where you're like, how you get it. It's like, stay the fuck home. And there are a couple of reasons why this is making me mad. The first one is that I can't send my kids to school, because it's just a really stupid idea. And my kids need to go to school so that they can hang out with people other than me and each other, right? But the other reason is because we're going to cancel sports. That's right, everybody. We're back on sports talk. Specifically, I'm talking right now about soccer. So I don't know if you guys heard, but MLS is back. Let me wipe the fop sweat from my forehead. The MLS is back. And child break.
I wonder what the COVID numbers for Africa were. The leaders of African-led countries. I bet those were pretty low.
Pick an African-led country. Pick one.
Libya.
Libya. Hey, weird.
Almost like you're not stepbrothers.
1,500 confirmed cases in Libya. But they're also
Nigeria.
Anyway. So the MLS is back, guys. They're back. It's a tournament that was supposed to re-kick off the MLS season. All the teams were going to be there, and now all but 2 teams are there because FC Dallas and Nashville SC both had to withdraw because of coronavirus, positive coronavirus cases. And here's the thing that I want to we've been talking about this coronavirus and the impact on sports for a little bit. The English Premier League runs about 1,200 tests a day, and they've had 0 positives because Europe has figured this out. Meanwhile, all of our soccer stars are in Orlando basically swimming in coronavirus. This country is stupid. I yield the rest of my time on this topic to you guys because I can't talk about it anymore because I'm angry.
Which topic? MLS or COVID?
COVID. We'll get back to MLS in a second. Wear a mask. Damn it.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's a cultural thing. I think Americans are just more like, in
Stupid.
terms of getting anything, like flus. I bet the flu is more verbose here than any other place as well. And I think that it's just like the culture of not being concerned about your
the culture of arrogance is the word that you're looking
the
for.
culture of arrogance and the sneezing, coughing, and out into open air, and like none of these things have changed. Especially places where people are, arrogant enough to resist the fact that, we're trying to keep each other healthy. Those people are definitely not good. Or like those people I was mentioning last week who are off in the forest, not watching baseball, trying to lynch black people. It's like those people aren't worried about who they're coughing or sneezing on or washing their hands. And it's not going to happen ever. So I think the spread is a culture problem as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree. On a related topic, not a sponsor, but you guys should check out A-Town Masks. I know that we sent some of their stuff out on our Instagram page the other day. I just ordered 2 masks from them. I ordered the ATL Ho and the one that says Atlanta with 2 N's in the middle.
I thought putting ho on a mask would offend some people.
Well, Marco, not that there's anything wrong with being a ho. But all right, so let's talk soccer for just a little bit. Just because, we brought it up and we're talking about it. So the MLS is back. And it's just like the MLS was before, which is to say some of the ugliest soccer I have ever seen in my entire life. We're going to get to that in a second. Mostly I want to talk about your Atlanta United. Five Stripes played at the Red Bulls of New Jersey. Former DC Metro Stars. Or not DC, sorry, New York Metro Stars. I do really like their new color scheme on this kit, though, that they're doing. This like red and black that they've got going on is
look pretty good.
Yeah, they really went for it, which is I appreciate that. We lost.
We looked bad.
1-0.
We looked pretty bad. Now, Atlanta has only ever beaten the New Jersey Red Bulls once. Without Googling it, Ryan, with your mechanical keyboard, tickety-tackety. What was the only game that the Five Stripes have beaten the New Jersey Red Bulls, and what was the score?
Ooh, the score? I don't remember. Wasn't it at Yankee Stadium?
It was a playoff game, right?
Correct. Not Yankee Stadium, because that's NYCFC.
Oh, yeah. Damn, I always mix them up.
And the score was 1-0. Right?
It was 4-0.
Oh.
At the Benz, the first leg of the Eastern Conference Championship in 2018.
Oh, right, because when we sort of clinched it, we clinched because we had to come back in. All right.
We lost the away leg at Red Bull Arena to the Red Bulls. that is the only game that Atlanta has ever won against New Jersey. So,
Not good.
No. And most of them have been like 1-0.
They're the opposite of Orlando.
Yeah, they're the only Eastern Conference team that Atlanta has never beaten. We've beaten everybody else. So I want to talk about why they keep beating us and the problems that Atlanta had. So did you guys watch the game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I watched most of it. The second half, I was in my room. I don't have the Roku in my room, so I was just running back out and checking to see if anything changed. It didn't.
No, we looked better in the second half, I think.
A little bit.
So my initial takeaways were, first off, that fake Adidas logo in the middle of the field. Did you guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-mm.
So, all right. So MLS is playing at the Wide World of Sports in Disney World. And they're playing at a lot of different like auxiliary fields around near the property and around the property. And because these auxiliary fields don't have things like billboards and jumbotrons and stuff like that, they've got all of these temporary like blue structures that they have built up around the stadiums, and then they project like through the magic of post-production.
They superimpose fans.
Yeah, they put like fan faces and like the score and advertisers. And one of the things that they do is they put an Adidas logo at center field in the center circle because, they need to get their money, which I understand and appreciate. But my biggest takeaway is that it looked terrible.
Yeah.
Was it different than their normal logo?
No, it just looked, it was really distracting. And then the camera angles were bad. There were a bunch of times where if they were on the near touchline, you just couldn't see what was going on because that stadium wasn't built for a television production. I appreciate what MLS is trying to do, but I can't help but feel like it's a rushed, slapdash, crammed together production.
A cheaper version of the MLS than you're used to.
And they're doing a worse job than the NWSL has been doing out in Utah. Which
I've not seen any of that.
I'll get to that in a second.
One thing I did notice was that little board that was like for fan interactions, it was only Atlanta United stuff.
Well, so I don't know if you follow Atlanta United stuff on the internet, but our fans have a bit of a reputation around MLS circles for we have so many of them that are so engaged that anytime an Atlanta player is up for goal of the week or whatever, it's almost assured that Atlanta wins, even if the goal wasn't as good, because we just outvote people. And that doesn't surprise me that also like our fans are more, participatory. On the MLS subreddit, actually, bunches of other teams have started coordinating one, goal of the week video to counter Atlanta. So we've got a bit of a reputation. And the reputation of the team, at least the reputation that they want to have, which is that we're like kings of the South and we're here to reign and whatever. That's not what I saw on Saturday. We looked terrible. Ryan, what were your takeaways from watching that game?
It looked like it reminded me of the beginning of the last year where it was like we could possess the ball and we could hold time of possession over people, but once we got into the latter third, it just broke down. And I think a lot of that obviously is, losing the first or second best striker in the MLS right now with Joseph being out. But there weren't a lot of quality shots on goal. We didn't have anyone that was really willing to take over and step up and say, hey, I'm going to be the guy for us. I think it's going to take PT or Barco really to go, you know what? I'll be Joseph now. I have the talent to do it. Let me step up and do it. Because you didn't see it there in this game at all. We moved the ball. We kept it away from them. But when it came to attacking,
Marco, did you have any takeaways from that first half?
I saw a lot of being stuck on their side of the field, a lot of little back and forth back there. We had that. it's funny we played so bad and we're like an inch away with that one kick from what's my man's name?
Bello, man.
Bello, yeah, it was right there and
Off the crossbar. That was
right
a
off the
beautiful strike,
crossbar.
dude.
You know, and that was sad, but yeah, like I didn't see the second half, so I don't know how we adjusted.
We didn't.
We didn't. Okay.
So the thing that I took away was I had a couple of thoughts. The first one was the formation. We rolled out a 3-4-3. The back line was exactly what I predicted the other week, where you've got Meza, Escobar, and Miles Robinson as your three center backs. And we rolled out Bello and Lennon as like the wing backs, right? Your other two midfielders that you started were Heineman and Rossetto. And then your three up top, you had El Piti. And then what was that guy's name? He's new, and I was like, "Who's this genius?"
Oh, and the midfielders.
Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna pull Dirty South Soccer up so I can make sure that I know what I'm talking about. Right? There we go. I know dead air is bad.
It's cool. I can always edit it.
We'll just edit it out. There we go. Not Mo. Oh, sorry. Mo Adams was also in the midfield. We had Pete. Why am I not finding the forward? I didn't know who this guy was, which is why I was like, oh, Manuel Castro.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah. So, sorry. So the midfield was Bello on the left, Mo Adams, Emerson Heineman, Lennon on the right. And then the front line was Pete, Rossetto, and Castro. And we looked terrible. We had like no shape. None of the three forwards looked like they had anything to do. We had no link from the back line. Remember, we were talking about how we need Nagby. We need that like number 6, number 8 box-to-box midfielder. We didn't have that at all. It got a little bit better once we added Eric Remedi as a sub. But like we looked bad. And New York was pressing super hard, which is what they do every game except for the one that they had lost. And we just had no answer for it. We couldn't get around them. And it's gross, and it makes me angry. And I don't know what the solution is going to be. Looks like Frank is, really set on playing this possession-based sort of soccer, but he doesn't have that box-to-box midfielder anymore. And we also don't have Miggy, right? So like we're not fast on the counter. He doesn't want us to play fast on the counter like Tata did. And we're missing that high Cruz. We're missing that link from the back line through the midfield. Hey, Cruiser.
Hey, Cruz.
Hey, Cruz.
Hey, bud.
Hi.
What's going on?
How you doing? I think part of that is that DeBoer wants Heineman to play that sort of like hybrid 6-8 role, like that link here, but Heineman wants to play like a 10. So we
Cam.
Yeah. We looked bad, except for LPT Martinez, who was everywhere and had some awesome service into the box. He had some really good passes. He looks like he's about to actually be, PT.
Who he was before he came here.
Yeah. And we got to see a little bit of little boat El Barquito, but he's dealing with an injury, so it's going to be interesting to see if they make any sort of structural changes before the next game.
When is the next game? Weekend again?
Thursday.
Thursday.
We take on Cincinnati on
the
Thursday.
16th. Yeah.
Yeah. We take on Cincinnati on Thursday, which will be a really good game to sort of work out the kinks and try some new things because Cincinnati is awful. Oh, they're bad. Yeah.
It's at 9 a.m. Ugh.
I mean, it's like a Premier League game. I watched an Arsenal game. I got up at like 6:30 to watch an Arsenal game, to watch them lose at 7 a.m. What is wrong with me?
They're waking up. This is in Orlando, right? So they're waking up at 9 a.m. Or is this?
No, they're not waking up at 9 a.m. They're waking up at like 7.
At 6 a.m. I mean,
yeah, they're playing at 9.
Why would they do that to them?
Because you got to get all these games in. The other thing that screwed Atlanta, I think, a little bit was that they had a 45-minute rain delay. And they said they had 15 minutes of warm-up. So I'm not sold on DeBoer. I'm not sold on his coaching philosophy. I'm not sold on the makeup of this team. I'm not sold on whoever's crawling behind Micah just out of shot of the Zoom call. But it was interesting. So the other takeaway I had from watching, the MLS is back. So there's another soccer tournament that actually started about 3 weeks before MLS did, and that's the National Women's Soccer League. And we've talked a little bit about this. They feature some of the best players on the planet. I'm repping the North Carolina jersey, back-to-back league champs today. That soccer, like just the quality of play is significantly better. Like, you know, like MLS games are like constantly running into each other and the stuff's like bouncing around all over the place. And you know what I mean? Like it just looks like garbage. But if you watch the ladies play, it looks more like the Premier League and
it's surgical. It's beautiful to watch.
Oh, it's amazing. And one of my favorite things about it is all of the novelty accounts that have popped up around. So they only play on one field, right? They're in Salt Lake City. They only play on one field. And so you see the same things every game. And so there are novelty Twitter accounts set up for things like NWSL Farm, because there's a farm in the background of the shot. And so like someone runs a Twitter account for the farm. And there's one for like the NWSL playground, because there's a playground on the other side of one of the, or like at the field. So last night we were, when I was watching the North Carolina game, I was like chatting with the NWSL playground account, and they were like, I'm going to donate $100 to the charity of your choice if a player slides down that slide as a goal celebration. What was another one? The NWSL sun glare, because the evening games that start, you have like a really bad sun glare in the camera. And so it's just, it's one of my favorite things ever is all of these novelty accounts. They're super fun. The games are on CBS All Access. It's $5 if you get it with ads, and $8 if it's not. But I will, you know, I think you can get a trial. I'll pay for your CBS All Access membership. Y'all should be watching this if you like soccer. It's good. Okay, we haven't
much better soccer than what we've seen.
Oh my God, it's so much better than MLS. I cannot wait until Uncle Arthur brings an NWSL team here to the A. Because it was really gross going from watching Atlanta to going to watching Carolina, just being like, oh, wow. And Carolina plays a really interesting formation, right? So they play a 4-2-2-2. So they play with a four-woman backline, right? 2 center backs, 2 fullbacks. Then they play with 2 number 6s for defensive midfielders, 2 number 10s for central attacking midfielders, and 2 strikers. And so what that means is that like they've got 6 defenders at any given time, but they also have like 4 box-to-box midfielders and then 4 strikers. You know, like they call it like the box. So you've got Debinha, who's on the Brazilian women's national team, Crystal Dunn, who's on the American national team, Lynn Williams, who's on the American national team, like all of this firepower all going forward at once. And I haven't seen anybody stop them yet. So it's going to be cool when they go undefeated and then lose in the final because they're a team that I'm rooting for. So we haven't heard Micah talk yet, and I think that that's really impressive. But I want to give him a chance to talk. So let's talk about the NBA and being in the bubble.
The boo-boo.
Ryan, I heard that Terrence Ross might be our inside man. You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, he's definitely gonna be our inside man. So Terrence Ross actually hosts a podcast. I think it's just called the Terrence Ross Podcast. He's been doing it for a while. He and Marco, help me out here.
Is it Aaron?
Yeah, it's Aaron.
Gordon?
But the I'm blanking on Trailblazers shooting guard.
CJ
McCollum.
Yes. Yeah, McCollum. Those are McCollum and Terrence Ross are your two big podcasts in the NBA. And McCollum didn't bring his podcasting equipment, but Terrence Ross did. So what he's going to do is he's going to do his normal shtick, but then he said he's going to carry it around with him and do some interviews with players and kind of give you more insight. And I'm intrigued to see that because players act different with players than they do with the media. I mean, we see that in all sports. But especially someone like Terrence Ross, who's not elite, but he's above average. He's actually pretty good. So he's probably going to be able to get in there and get in with some
He's
stars.
like low-key good. He's like –
yeah.
He like might drop 30 like twice a season.
Right. He's a threat at all times, but he's not gonna be any team's number one option. He'll probably be a tertiary option. So he's gonna be down there. He's gonna be recording, like I said, and he's a funny guy as it is. So I think he's gonna give us some really good insights, some really cool clips that you'll have to go to his podcast for, unless I don't think ESPN's gonna give him too much shine, or maybe they will.
Who would have ever thought that Terrence Ross had a podcast? Did you know about this before you brought it to our
Yeah, I did. I've listened to it a couple times. He's good.
You can follow J.R. Smith on social media. He always has some gems.
Adam pretty much told him, stop talking, bro.
Chill, man. That one where he was opening up the blanket that they sent him.
Yeah.
He's like, I know LeBron didn't send me this tiny ass blanket. What the hell is this? And he opens it up, and it's like, one of those, like, almost like the size of that blanket right behind me. And, a normal human being, that's fine. But when you're 6'5", 6'8", 6'9", like a lot of these guys are, they're like, what am I going to do with this?
What about Boban Marjanovic?
Or Taco?
Put it on your knee, one leg. Keep one leg warm.
Have y'all seen those ads for those supersized blankets for tall people like that?
No.
Oh God, they're hilarious. I'll try and find them later and bring one up. But
was it like one of those Instagram ads, or is it like a TV ad? Okay.
I don't think I've seen them on TV, but it's mainly Instagram, and they're these enormous blankets that these giant men are sitting in. It's like, this guy's 6'10" and he looks this big in it. It's like, good God, how big is this blanket?
What a niche market that is. Like, how many giants are you gonna find that want your blankets?
I mean, hey, target China, who has the most 7-footers in the world, and you might have a pretty good.
Is that simply a function of their pure mass of people? Or
I think it's the billion people, 1.2 billion people that they have.
Is India number 2?
Mm-hmm. For 7-footers?
Yeah,
probably. I mean, I can look real quick.
What? Well, we can move to. Oh wait, am I the next topic? Okay. Well, since we're already sort of talking about Terrence Ross and what he's going to do down there, instead of really preparing for the show and reading my rundown, I was just tuned into Austin Rivers had went live with Slam Magazine, one of my favorite magazines from my childhood, and he was pretty much at the Orlando compound, and he was riding in with the Houston Rockets, minus James Harden and Westbrook, of course, which he said they will be arriving in 2 days. And he was pretty much just giving a rundown. He went to the shoe room, and he pointed out how there was 2 racks of shoes, and the whole entire top rack, half of it was for James Harden, and the other half was for Westbrook. And then on the bottom rack on this side, it was all Westbrook, and then they put a little corner for every other player. And then he was pointing out I guess his dad was supposed to send him some golf clubs, and because you can go down there and you can golf, and he was gonna bring his own, but his dad was like, oh, don't worry about it, your birthday's coming up, I'll handle it. And he sent him this nice ass golf bag, but it only had one putter in there. And it's like, is Doc Rivers messing with him to try to throw him off?
I'm gonna play some mind games with you, Austin. I know how you
Right.
tick.
And then he went and showed like the little testing center, like how they all have to walk in and get tested daily. Steven Adams was there. He passed him. And then he pretty much, what else did he do? He walked around. He looked at some of the guards. And then he went to his room. Someone asked him, "Oh, where's LeBron?" He's like, "LeBron don't stay where we stay." He's like, look at one of these big buildings. LeBron has a building as big as this whole building, right, for himself. And then he went to his room. And he just had junk food everywhere. It was super messy. I'm like, damn, bro, tidy up. And that was pretty much it. But the funniest thing, my takeaway from all this is like, damn, Michael was right about this. I don't agree with Kyrie, but that brother was right. Like when he said that if the NBA comes back, we're gonna stop talking about anything social justice, he was right. Because all we've talked about is players complaining about their food, LeBron not wanting to wear the messages because the NBA is restricting, free Woj. It's all about these players and their privilege. And even on the NFL side, a dude becoming a half a billionaire, we're not talking about any kind of social justice anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll yield the floor, man. Mike, say something, man. I feel like you're on a
No, I mean, it's the truth though. Any and everything, we are a country with a short attention span. So any and everything that distracts from something serious, that's what we're going to jump to. It's like Black Lives Matter. Ooh, look at that. Right.
Ooh, a piece of candy.
Ooh, piece of candy. Oh, $1.
So, I mean, yeah.
To be fair, there is some like Fire Fest quality food going. Did you see that? Like, they had two pictures in the same day. I forget who it was. There's somebody who was in the bubble who was like, "This is my food," and it's not like MLS is back bad, right? Which is like a sandwich with like, the sandwiches that you buy that like it
Some
looks like it's
goldfish.
good, and then you like open it up and there's like a tiny piece of like meat and the rest is just bread. Like that was the MLS. But it was like, it was like hotel food where like the roll was in its individual package, and you could just tell it was room temperature. And then
It was Embiid, I think.
Yeah, and then LeBron and like a couple of the Lakers were like, "We're out here having Lakers lunch together. We're the Lakers," and it was like sushi and like oysters and stuff. Like,
no, man, but Austin, he stopped by the cafeteria and he showed what they had up to offer. I mean, it was like a vegetable gumbo. There was like a salad or something. And then they had like a flank steak. But all the little options, like he showed them, it was like all little tiny containers, like jail food, like hospital food. It's like, what in the world?
So I'm glad that you brought up free Woj, right?
Hold on, before you get onto that,
okay.
did you guys? I think I sent it to all of you, but the Rashawn Holmes thing, since we're talking about food in the NBA. So for those of you guys who didn't see this, Rashawn Holmes of the Kings, he broke quarantine without knowing it. Well, he broke the bubble without knowing it, and he delivered Postmates. He had Postmates delivered, and the series of tweets that happened are the funniest thing I've seen in a while. So he says, "To all my @NBA bros, Postmates delivers to the hotel. You just have to go out and meet the delivery person at the hotel entrance. Security will not hold the food for you or help you. Yeah, the food whack, but here for a bigger purpose. Hope that helps. #shh." And then, oops. I think it was 8 hours later. He tweets, "Never mind, LOL." So he has to quarantine for 8 more days because he broke the bubble.
Did you see his mom tweeted at him too?
Mm-mm.
It was like, the only food you should be breaking quarantine for is your mama's food, not even in Orlando. I was like, damn. Yeah, free Woj, man. I don't know if you guys want to get in on this or not, but I've been tweeting at Senator Hawley every day, saying "fuck you" every day since that happened. I think it's my right as an American to tell my elected officials that they should fuck off. So
right, especially when they try to be smart asses.
Yeah. So Kyle Korver is going to wear Black Lives Matter on his jersey. And I'm sure there will be a lot of other protesty things. I know Atlanta, when they went to the MLS, did you guys know that the MLS is back, guys? Atlanta gave their players a little bit of space on the bottom of their jerseys, and a lot of those guys wrote like Breonna Taylor and Alton Sterling on the back of their jerseys. And then the first game, Atlanta has the highest number of black players of any team in MLS. I believe so, which would make sense because, we're in Atlanta. What do you think? Okay, 2 questions. What would you want players to do to make sure that Kyrie wasn't right, and that we're still having the conversations that we need to be having? What would you need the players to do to feel like they're bringing adequate attention? And what do you think they're going to do? Mako. No, Micah.
Honestly, you would probably have to do some kind of like big, I guess, tribute maybe. The NBA would have to like host some kind of like big tribute for to keep the movement going and make some kind of big statement. But what do I think they're going to do? Nothing. Just focus on playing basketball and just like, all right, well, we're just going to leave this to an individual. If you want to make a statement, make a statement. If not, we're not going to press it.
Bobo.
I mean, they're going to have to prioritize the movement, but I mean, it's going to have to be the big names. It's going to have to be your Westbrooks, your LeBrons, the household names are going to be the ones that during broadcasts and during the halftime interviews, if they have them, are going to have to push these messages. But at the same time, I don't think they will, because they're going to be, LeBron's going to be hyper-focused on getting this ring. This is why this tournament is happening, is because this is the LeBron tour of seeing if he can get that ring. I don't think if LeBron would have been in contention for this, we wouldn't have been doing this as hastily as we did. But I don't have a good answer. I don't know. I honestly don't know how you're going to be able to stay focused in the playoffs for a sport that takes, that intense focus because you're at a pro level, while also shedding light onto it. I hope someone in the NBA has a better answer than me. I'm imagining they do, but I don't have a good answer. I don't know.
I really hope that somebody, to your point, Ryan, that somebody pulls a Marshawn Lynch, and every time they ask him a question, he just says like, "Arrest the cops who killed Breonna Taylor," and that's just the answer. It's like LeBron. Let's see. Let me think of somebody who would be really fun to interview.
J.R. Smith.
Yeah. No, but for social justice issues. But they're like, Kawhi, you're down 15 at the half. Boardman gets paid. What do you think you need to do to come back against Utah and, really give it to him in the second half? That's a really interesting question. Instead, I would like to remind you that Black Lives Matter and we should be arresting the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. And then he just goes to the locker room I bet Donald.
My punchline. I was going to use that punchline.
Oh, I'm sorry, dude. I bet Donald Trump's never watched an NBA game in his whole fucking life. But
I think that's cap. I think that's cap. I bet he has.
I bet you he watches these. Marco.
His skin is Nick Orange.
Oh,
basketball orange.
Good one.
Yes, sir.
I like that. Mako, answer the question, man. What would they have to do to make you feel better, and what do you think they're gonna do? Because it's 2 different things.
So first, I just want to think of the psychology of why LeBron wouldn't want to use one of the predetermined messages of the NBA, and I believe that's because, like y'all said, he knows he has a chance to win, and when it comes to looking at these highlights and these footage in history, he wants his name on the back of the jersey, right? But then I feel like if he does win and he gets there and he's giving his big speech and they should be like, oh yeah, that's cool, but they still haven't arrested the cops that killed Breonna Taylor. It's like, what are they gonna do? I don't know. He said that he said in that call with the players that he doesn't have to not play to make an impact, and so maybe he'll talk between press conferences. But at the end of the day, it's not gonna do anything because people are just gonna worry about their stats and worry about LeBron's chase and LeBron Zion and all these other storylines and narratives, and it'll just be secondary in the background. So.
I'm calling it. Mike Conley is going to spearhead this. That's who's going to be the guy that really takes it.
I hope it's Zion.
He's got some spare change to throw at it.
Ooh, let's talk about that. Tell me, Ryan. Tell me what's going on.
So it was about 2, maybe 3 weeks ago. They opened an investigation into Duke for it might have been longer than that. I don't know. All the time runs together in quarantine.
Right.
It could have been a year ago. I don't know. They opened an investigation into Duke for, what do they call it when improper
ineligible benefits?
Yeah, ineligible benefits. Something along those lines. Because they were like, you know what? While Zion was at Duke, his stepdad and his mom really made some improvements to their home. And they bought some things that they typically don't buy. So they investigated him, and they found that Duke paid his stepdad. His stepdad took a note from Cam Newton's dad, and he got paid $400,000.
$400,000
to ensure that Zion attended Duke. And that's a big no-no in the NCAA. You can't even work a job. You can't do anything. You can't sign autographs. You can't do any of those things. So when a school gives your family money to ensure that you commit to them, oops.
That's not true. It's all allegations.
Prove it.
That was a Coach K impression for anybody.
Yeah. Sure, bud. Not that there's anything wrong with doing Coach K impressions.
Okay, were you here for that at the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay.
What the fuck was I gonna say? Zion's dad might have broke the rules, and might have gotten $400,000 to make sure that Zion went to Duke, right? How much money did Zion Williamson make Duke?
I know, right?
Oh, millions upon millions.
Did Zion Williamson, did he get a degree from Duke? So the classic argument of, these boys is getting a free college education. That's what they're getting paid with. Well, 10, because I wasn't here last week.
Yeah.
Your streak's still sound. Your streak's still going.
I'm holding it. I was waiting for this. Yeah, man, like that argument doesn't work anymore, man. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I'm usually, like when I was younger, it's like everybody should follow the rules. And I still think that, the Astros are cheaters and, they should be,
pelted.
Yeah.
You think they should follow rules that make sense?
Right. But that's the thing is like the NCAA, it's sort of like a lot of the rules that we're dealing with in a lot of the laws we're dealing with in our government right now. The NCAA rules are designed specifically, they say it's to keep amateurs in sports, right? But what it really means is that universities are getting free labor. These kids generate a ton of money for their programs. This is a profit-making endeavor. This is entirely about making money for the schools as a business and increasing their endowments and paying their administrators tons of money and all of that stuff. And if Zion's worth to Duke was at least 10 times more than what his dad got. And I don't know what kind of situation Zion came from, when he was growing up. That man could have gone anywhere and gone number 1 overall into the NBA, right? Like he could have gone to Kentucky, he could have gone to Louisville, could have gone to Georgia State University,
Right.
and gone number 1. Like he's that kind of talent. He didn't need Coach Krzyzewski, to coach him, right? Like he's a baller, right? So why not? Why not, man? Like and as a parent of an athletic child, you know what I mean? Like, how much money am I spending on, soccer academy dues, right? Like, give me $400,000. I want a new deck. You know how much time I spent helping coach this kid and driving him to and from, games? Man, fuck the NCAA. That's all I gotta say about that.
I hate rules that are expected to be followed just for the sake of them being rules, and when people point out the flaws in them, they're like, oh, well, it's how we've always done it. I hate that.
They get a free education.
Yeah. It's
My only
let
question
these kids make some money, man. They don't get fed well enough. Just like we saw with that kid at Iowa last week, where he had to call his mom.
Oh, with the Domino's.
Yeah, he had to call his mom to order him Domino's at like 11 o'clock at night because his coach revoked his
Well,
meal
if
card.
Zion got $400K though, RJ was technically the number 1 player coming into Duke.
Right.
So what did he
RJ
get?
To come down from Canada at that.
Right.
So
I mean,
Could have played pro, yeah.
it's a business transaction. That's all I'm gonna say.
Sorry. We're sorry he didn't commit earlier there. Eh? Sorry.
Sorry. This is just how it's always been thing. It's just the dumbest shit to me because, interracial marriage used to be illegal, women didn't used to be able to vote, which we might want to go back to, Jessica. Shout out to my spouse on that one. Kids used to have to work in factories. You know what I mean? Like that's the way it's always been. One of the great things about being human is changing your mind and changing the way you do things after you get new information. So people who stick their fingers in their ears and are just like, the framers of the Constitution said that black people are only count as 4/5 of a person, cool. This is 2020, my G, right? Like I have a supercomputer that I carry around in my pocket.
Right. And let's run a 23andMe on them, and then they'll find out.
We went to space, right? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like we've landed people on the moon, Marco. It actually happened. I just don't understand.
Said it didn't.
Actually, that's the one conspiracy theory that I'm just like, maybe. But I don't want to get punched by Buzz Aldrin, so I'm not going to say it.
It is real weird though. Whenever you ask when they were alive, when they would get asked about it, they would get real weird.
Quick shout out if you guys are bored. If you've got Apple TV Plus, there's a show on there called For All Mankind. It's Joel Kinnaman and a bunch of other people, and it's show run by Ronald D. Moore, who did the new Battlestar Galactica. Anyway, it's like, what if the Russians landed on the moon first? Like that's the whole premise. And like some of the shit they do, like they've got like a moon base in like 1973 or something like that. Ted Kennedy becomes president. It's dope. If you want to see something that's just like, it's like what really happened, but different. It's pretty.
Don't forget, Trump took the time in his 4th of July speech to be like, we will be the first ones to land on Mars.
I'm not talking about Donald Trump anymore today.
All right. We're going to hit a quick break, and we'll be back in a little bit. See you in a second.
Special guest coming.
Big thanks for Michelle Obama for that interview that we just had with her just now. If you didn't catch it, something's wrong with your podcast app. Marco, why don't you tell us more about no, I'm just kidding. We were just talking about how Marco is a conspiracy theorist. So ladies, well, as I've said previously, Marco is single, ready to mingle, but only if you believe in lizard people living under.
No, only if you can name me at least 5 Beatles songs. At least 5.
All right, let's move on. I got something that's bothering me. Brian Kemp, the governor of our great state of Georgia, deployed the National Guard because like 6 people got shot in Atlanta in a weekend, and he deployed the National Guard. But Brian Kemp didn't deploy jack shit when 95 people died of coronavirus every day last week. Why is Brian Kemp such a piece of shit, guys?
Because he stole the election.
Yeah. Secretary of State rigged the election so you can win.
Man, if Stacey was
Limited
the governor
polling
right
places.
now, bro.
We'd be a woman-ran state, and we'd be all right.
Yeah, because that's what matters. Is
Full
the-
circle.
The physical sex of the.
Yeah.
No, but literally, like Brian Kemp, I mean, they're still actively closing down polling places. And that's why State Farm had to step in and be like, y'all just come here.
But I'm upset that I'm not a Fulton County. I'm not actually upset because when I voted here in Trilburn, it took me 7 minutes to vote. 7 minutes because I live in a historically white and conservative part of the state. So we have lots of polling places and everything goes smoothly. But part of me is kind of sad that I won't get to go to the State Farm to vote because, like,
That'd be cool.
I would open the concession stands. Like, could you imagine getting like nachos? You're having like nachos and like hanging out in line to go vote. Like
Right.
you just run into the teen store.
I
And
just
like
would be a little bit anxious about being around all those people.
Get them
grab a John Collins jersey. You know what I mean? Oh,
See if
so
they
I
have
sent
any extra Camp Bazemore's back there.
right. You got any in the back? I sent Ryan this link the other day on Instagram, but I want to tell you guys and all of our podcast listeners. College Park, our G League team, College Park Skyhawks, I think. Their jerseys are fresh. It just said it's black with yellow lettering with a red outline. It just says College Park on it. It's fresh as hell. I'm gonna cop me one of those jerseys. And then I can't wait for Marco to tell me about how it was made by sweatshop labor
No, I won't say that.
on the moon.
But no, wait. But while we're talking about it's good to point out. So the GM for the Skyhawks is a woman, and
a woman of
First
color,
ever.
no
for the
less.
first time in history, hired a black basketball coach for their women's team.
Yeah, didn't she work for the Celtics?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. So I saw an interesting thing. I want to touch just a little bit on NBA because I thought this thread was really good. And then let's jump into baseball. I saw somewhere someone suggested that you trade if John Collins and Clint Capella don't work on the floor together, that you trade John Collins. I would say you trade Clint Capella because John Collins and Trae Young are perfectly matched, and Trae isn't going anywhere. If Capella can't fit, you trade Capella. Am I right or wrong? Mako.
You're right. Even
Hell
to
yeah.
the point where I saw this, like they had this graphic that was pretty cool where they're like picking a threesome for each team, and it was like it had like
It's the wrong podcast.
No, it had like so each team had like their 2 current players, and then they added like a legend. But for ours, like say James Harden, Westbrook, and then Hakeem. For ours, they put Trae, Capella, and Dominique. I'm like, why isn't that John? Like
Carmelo Anthony.
How would you pick Capella over
John
Dikembe
Collins.
if you want
Over
like a center?
Dikembe.
no, it was two currents and then Dominique.
Oh, gotcha.
Right.
How many minutes has Clint Capella played for your Atlanta Hawks?
That's what
I
I'm
don't want
saying.
All of them.
And how
John
many
Collins-
threes has Capella hit? John Collins was shooting like 40% from the
Corner.
John Collins is a human highlight reel. That man, every minute that he's on the floor, it's just like, whoa! Oh my God. Weren't we just talking about, did we talk about how the NBA is talking about having a second bubble in Chicago for the teams that weren't invited to Orlando?
Mm-hmm.
Florida. Yeah,
We were just sort of we were talking about that like NIT style. I would watch the shit out of that, especially because like it doesn't really necessarily mean anything, so people can be like loosey goosey, like that sounds fun. So Ryan had in the show notes for today, he had a question. We've already talked about like who we think the contenders are going to be, who we think is going to win this NBA championship. And I think we did talk about our dark horse sleeper pick. I think we did. No. All right. So let's do a sleeper pick for the championship. And then who you think is going to be the worst team that got invited to Orlando, which I think is way more fun than talking about who's going to be good. And I think I know who everybody's going to say is the worst team, but I'm not gonna spoil it. Micah, kick us off. Who's your sleeper pick for the NBA tournament, and who's the worst team?
My sleeper, Portland. I think you got Dame and CJ when they get hot, especially with these abbreviated series. So you might have 1 or 2 games, and then you got Nurkic back. They got Collins back. They got some weapons there, and then you bring in Melo into that whole mix. So they got some nice little pieces there. So if they got hot, got a little rhythm offensively, they could potentially steal games from everybody. So and like I said, in 1, 2, 3 game series, I think they could be the one that steals it from everybody. As far as the worst team in it, Orlando, probably. I think Orlando would probably be my pick for the worst team in it.
Well, sort of like how the Pelicans only made it because of Zion. Orlando only made it because it's in Orlando. Could you
Orlando
imagine?
Actually, would have made the playoffs. They would have been in there.
Oh my God, Marco, whatever. Marco, okay, go ahead. Who's your sleeper and who's the worst team, my friend?
My sleeper, it was initially Houston, but I have to agree with Micah. Portland is looking strong. They got their big back. They're going to be rested, and in this kind of format, and no Golden State out there to completely psych Dame out, they're going to be nasty, man. They're going to be hard to, Dame is just probably the clutchest player right now, and they're just going to be a tough out, and especially with Melo, and they just got from every position.
Rip City,
yeah. My worst team is definitely the Nets. Like, their whole roster has COVID. Their whole roster.
And they just met each other this week. Didn't Michael Beasley go out? Like, isn't he out with COVID right now? Like, I thought I saw Michael Beasley. I think Michael Beasley, like, yesterday got, like, kicked out the bubble or something like that.
Really?
The Nets legit put together a team on, like, Tinder, right?
Yeah,
There's
right.
like,
Nets coronavirus issues.
Swipe right. I like that guy. He's tall. Swipe right.
Right. Yeah. They were like, all right, all these guys said that they would play together. So there's our team. Brooklyn.
I'm about to drive down to Orlando and try out.
Dude, you could probably make one of these teams, at least on the bench.
Right.
Where's RJ Hunter at? Where's the pride of Georgia State?
Right.
Hey, at least that blanket would fit you though.
That is wild that Beasley.
Look
about the Nets. Like, what is going on with the Nets?
How much money is for a 10-day contract in the NBA?
Quite a bit.
Pretty low.
Yeah.
I would go down there and eat hotel food and catch coronavirus to, have a couple minutes on the floor, break a 3,
Right.
Like,
I think it's like 10-20K. I'm down.
Right.
Good.
For 4 games.
Yeah. On the bench. I would make SportsCenter top 10 for my bench reactions every single night. Like, right. Oh, look at this guy. He doesn't shave. He looks kind of out of shape. Ryan, who's your sleeper pick, my G, and who's the worst?
Sleeper pick. I want to go with OKC.
Bold.
I like them. And what's that?
Bold.
Yeah. Well, the reason is because they have a savvy veteran at point guard, Chris Paul, the best point guard, pure point guard in the NBA.
Rondo,
and he's pulling the strings behind everything. So I think they're going to really surprise a lot of people. I think they might go a little bit further than people think. But
Shy is nasty too.
Yeah, I mean they're a lot better than people think, and they run that 3-guard set that's just disgusting. So actually, I was bouncing between them and Houston, just because Houston is playing small ball here recently, and they were playing well before the break. They kind of hit a speed bump, but
And
they're really good.
Their stars got COVID.
Yeah, that's the problem. Russell Westbrook having coronavirus. Who knows what's going to happen with that? Without picking my favorite team to watch ever would have been the Brooklyn Nets with Jamal Crawford and Michael Beasley, but since that's now in danger, I'm going to go another surprise pick, and I'm going to say Utah. Utah's going to be the worst team out there because they have been hit hard with injuries. They lost Bogdanovich. What, Micah?
No, I thought you were saying hit hard with COVID.
Oh, no, not in Utah, not yet, at least. Yeah, I think they're going to really go out and they're going to fall on their face. They're old.
I think Boston is my sleeper.
Are they a sleeper though? As a top 3 seed?
I think so.
Any team besides Milwaukee in the East is a sleeper.
Yeah.
If we're talking about going all the way, because we really expect Milwaukee or maybe Toronto to compete.
Those are your favorites. And then the 2 LA teams.
But no one else in the East is strong. Meanwhile, in the West, you've got Utah has potential. Portland is a really good team.
Melo.
Houston's a really good team. I think Melo's a non-factor. And I think OKC is not going to make it because Chris Paul is on that team. And
I think he's got too much on his plate.
No, I think Chris Paul is a curse. So my sleeper is Boston. I like Kemba, cardiac Kemba. They called him coming out of high school, I think, or out of college. I think he really got screwed going to Charlotte.
Yep.
And I think the rest of that Boston team is filthy. I definitely think they're better than like Philly. I think my worst team is going to be the Nets. Obviously, I think it's hilarious to me that the Nets got invited, but the Hawks didn't. And the Nets are going to be – the Nets might be one of the worst teams that basketball has ever seen. And that's including like the Generals when they play against the Harlem Globetrotters. You know what I mean? Like the Nets might be the worst team in NBA history during this tournament. And John Collins and Trae Young are playing 2K at their house, you know.
Isn't there an 8-game playoff? FIFA. Don't they fall into that potentially missing the playoffs?
Yeah, they'll probably fall off.
I mean, the Wizards could replace them.
They could finish at the 9th seed.
I think Phoenix could replace them.
Wait, is Phoenix even invited to this?
Yep.
Yeah.
They are? They were
close.
They were within reach.
Devin Booker, but he in them.
Devin Booker. I think Devin Booker is another one that like Devin Booker is really, really good on the Suns. But I feel like if he goes to any other team, he'll be bad. You know,
I watched him play. I saw him live this year. Bro, that guy is nice. Like, he is nice. Like, he has the closest game to, like, the MJs and the Kobes. Like, he just go down there. He just find his spot and make it every single time. Like, nothing too crazy or flashy. He just go there and pivot, backspin, jumper, cross, jumper. He's just so nice.
His bag is deep, man.
Yeah.
Devin Booker's going to hit free agency, and he's going to set the record for the most expensive NBA contract in history for the Sacramento Kings. That's where he's going.
I bet the Knicks.
He's going to be rich and ringless.
Nobody's going to play for Dolan.
Yeah, nobody's playing for Dolan except Michael Beasley and COVID. So I saw this tweet. I thought it was really funny. It was like, if your team during the NBA playoffs isn't constantly calling to snitch on people, saying people went outside the bubble, are you even really trying? Do you agree with this? I think cheating, like doing steroids and stuff like that, or like sign stealing, fuck the Astros, is terrible. But I think like calling Chris Paul's hotline and being like, yo, I saw LeBron going to get Postmate. LeBron's not going to get in trouble, right? But like some of the other guys, like J.R. Smith.
Yeah.
I think I think that's a good tactic. What do you guys think? Do you think is that acceptable to you? It's trying to call Chris Paul's cell phone and snitch on everybody who's trying to break the bubble. We're just saying that they are. Call Chris Paul and tell Chris Paul that he was out at a strip club.
Right.
I saw CP3 out at Mardi Gras.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
All right, let's talk about baseball. Last night, there was baseball on TV on Fox Sports South. It was an intra-team scrimmage. Braves versus Braves. They had no sound from the field. It was just Jerome Jurinovich and some other guy just talking about like, it's going to be great when we have baseball. It's great, baseball. Baseball's going to be great. There won't be any fans in the stands, but there will be baseball. I think maybe we'll pipe some fan noise in, but there sure will be baseball. Like all they did was talk about how excited they are that baseball's going to come back. And they weren't even like calling the game, so like people were like crushing bombs, like a 500-yard bomb. Like Darno took Soroka like straight across like the center field wall. They're just like, oh geez, that was a home run. Oh, like what was wrong with you? But I watched 25 minutes of that, which is a lot for an intra-team scrimmage. And it was interesting because they were talking about how they brought in Marcell Ozuna to be a DH. They didn't want him to play the outfield. And then Nick Markakis opted out. And they were talking about how the outfield for the Braves was like really, really stacked. And then Nick Markakis went out. And then they were like, oh shit, now we have to play Ozuna. Because they're going to play like 20 games back to back or something like that for a couple of stretches.
20 games in a row, yeah.
Yeah. So they're like, now we have to play Marcell Ozuna in the outfield. How's that going to go? And then today, or was it last night? No, it was today. Yasiel Puig joins your Atlanta Braves. How do we feel about Puig being on this team?
Micah first.
Micah.
I like it. I mean, I really like Puig. He can bring talent and just sheer, like he's like a freakishly athletic guy, and the bad. Now, granted, he's a character. He's like Manny Ramirez-esque character, but as long as he kind of keeps his temper and everything in check, I think this could be a great addition to our roster. Not to mention his bat is so great that he could really add some pop to that lineup.
Well, and like I think one of my outstanding memories of Puig is he threw a guy out at like second or third from like the left field corner.
Yeah.
Or no, he threw him out at home. That's what it was. And the ball didn't even get close. Like he didn't need a cutoff or anything. Like that man just like cannoned this ball to home plate. I was like, what? The other cool thing is that this fits with my Braves theory, which is that the Braves always have one asshole on the team. Like most of the team is made up of like good, agreeable young men, right? Like Freddie Freeman, Dansby Swanson, just like, I'm here to play the game the right way, guys. And I just really, and then you've got some Latin flavor in Ronnie, but even Ronnie's just like, man, I love baseball. Let's having some fun, bro.
Right,
and
right.
like, but you always got to have like one dickhead, right? And so like, what was it like?
Donaldson last year.
Donaldson last year. And I think that's Puig this year. I think Puig is like, if Puig takes all of the attention, then everybody else doesn't have to feel any pressure, like when they're like, hey, Freddie, how's coronavirus?
Are you still dying?
Bobo.
I love Puig. I think because when he was in Cleveland, he was terrible. I think he had like 2 home runs in almost 50 games, but as soon as he switched back over to the NL, it was on and popping again.
Didn't he go to the Reds?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that's when he got suspended because he tried to fight the entire team. I like
Dodgers, Indians, Reds, Braves.
Yep.
Am I right about that? Okay.
Yeah. So, I like it. As you saw, as soon as they announced the signing, what I said in the group chat, I was super happy about him because it adds that piece that we lost in Donaldson. that just ungodly power. But if you also add Ozuna to the field, to the mix now, I think we're even better than last year, especially if our pitching can get it right.
Get into that in just a second. Mako.
Yeah, he's like what, 29, coming off 24 home runs. Like, hey man, I don't see what the problem is, and he can add to the spice, the Latin spice. They're gonna have fun. It's gonna encourage, like, sort of like you said, it's gonna encourage that, mix it up, be a little looser back there. Because like you said, Freddie got COVID, people scared and sad, and bring some Puig in there.
Think about that outfield, man. When we got like Ronnie, Puig, and what's his name? Duvall. But then you could swap him out with didn't they put Riley out in left field for a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that could be a fun outfield. It reminds me of when we had Bupton, Jupton, and Hayward, except
Bupton,
Jupton, and Hayward, except they'll actually be good.
That was the Upton brothers. That was such a promising outfield. If Bupton would have just got his shit together.
You mean Melvin?
What was he batting, like 160 something?
Dude, it was, and he was a rangy outfielder with plus defense.
But you know who that reminds me of back in the day when we traded for Reggie Sanders from the Diamondbacks back in the day.
Oh my God,
he was so good, and he got to Atlanta, and it was just his problem. Bupton couldn't make contact with the ball. Reggie Sanders had the most unlucky season I'd ever seen. He was smoking the ball, but it was like it always found a glove. The man, I think he finished below the Mendoza line on the season.
Yeah, that was what made Bupton one of the worst signings in Braves history for me is how much money we gave that dude to hit below the Mendoza line. And I wish that he had been good because him and Justin together, and when Justin was on, man, like that guy added pop to the lineup that we were really missing at that period, but we also needed that from, our center fielder. So just an idea.
Reggie Sanders finished at 232 on the season, by the way.
Okay, so better than BJ Upton. Sorry, Melvin. Melvin. Matt Kemp. That was the other a-hole that we had for a while. Players with a reputation, I should say. We signed one player with a reputation per season. And that's
was it? A couple bat flips.
Yeah. But we had what's his name? Bat flip actual.
Oh, freaking the old dude?
Ugla?
No, from the Rays. He got punched in the face. Batista.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
Yeah, we had Jose Batista for a while.
That's why I meant the old dude.
Yeah,
he's not as old. That old.
Bartolo Colon, that was another one.
Gary Sheffield back in the day.
The last 5-tool player.
John Rocker, wasn't he one?
Yeah.
John Rocker was also. John Rocker actually had a good radio segment, but he's allegedly a racist.
I don't think it's alleged. I think it's pretty.
You always gotta say allegedly.
We're good. We're not the press. This is not news. Sort of like how Fox News says their anchors aren't journalists; they're entertainers. If you're coming here for the truth, everything I'm saying is right, and everything Marco's saying is a crackpot theory about how the moon is flat.
Judge for yourself.
It's like unsolved mysteries over here with Marco Restrepo. The Braves are deep as fuck right now. Like,
I'm excited.
The lineup looks nasty, especially
with
now
Freddie in it.
Yeah. RIP pitchers hitting. The pitching staff, though, I think that this is pound for pound the worst starting pitching staff the Braves have had since I've lived in Atlanta. So since 2001. Mike Soroka looks like he's going to be a number one. Right, he's the opening day starter. So he looks like he's a top of the rotation guy. But he got that based on having an almost impeccable ERA last year, his rookie season. That's it.
So you just mean on paper, or because I think last year's was pretty bad.
We've had some pretty bad ones though.
I think we're worse this year than we were last year, especially because we signed Hamels and he has tendonitis. So he's probably not going to be in there. Who's your 2 after Soroka?
A freaking
Freed?
Oh, Newcomb.
Nuke. You can't send Nuke down to Gwinnett when he gets the yips. Right? You can't do it. Who's your 2?
Faulty, I guess.
Faulty.
Right. I think Faulty is your second best pitcher on that staff, and that's sort of what I'm saying. Is like Soroka looks like he could be, the next Maddox, but that's based on one season.
I think they're banking on Soroka and Freed. I think that's what they're banking on.
Right, but like you have 5 starting pitchers, man. So you have what, Tukey?
Well, he's not going to be
Newcomb? There. Well, yeah, because Tukey's got the Rona. But that's what I'm saying is like the lineup looks great. But how many runs did the Cardinals score against the Braves?
In the first inning? 11? 10.
Because we brought Faulty back for a second game when he probably shouldn't have been starting that game.
Did we discuss was this on the podcast when we discussed whether if we win the championship this year, will it count? Or how will we feel about it? Okay, we already discussed that.
Yeah. If the Braves win, it counts, and if anyone else wins, it doesn't count. It wasn't a representative season, obviously. Yeah, I will have a world champions t-shirt if the Braves win. But what I'm saying is that like I do not believe in this rotation, and it really grosses me out because I feel like we're wasting the lineup. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I'd agree. Because this lineup could be reminiscent of when we traded for Teixeira back in the day. And I don't know if y'all remember that, but as soon as we traded for him, there was like out of like the 50 games left, I think we scored like 10 to 15 runs, like 20 of them. It was disgusting. I was so mad that he signed with the Yankees. I thought for sure he was a lock to stay here. He would have been a great addition. He probably still would have. Well, no, he retired already, but
we couldn't outbid him, though.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever a lock in Atlanta.
Disappointment is.
I saw a tweet that made me laugh. So I'm sticking with Arsenal because that's what the Twitter poll said to do. And I saw a tweet that was like someone who doesn't watch the Premier League, and they were like, so I'm reading about the Premier League right now, and I'm learning that Arsenal is both one of the biggest and most popular clubs in the world, and also makes their fans sad every week. Is this true? And I said, it's all of my teams do this, right? Like there's only one team that's made me like actually joyously happy. And that's
United.
them Five Stripes, right?
UTD.
Yeah. So like, it's funny because I've gotten people into watching Arsenal, but the only people who I've convinced to watch Arsenal are people who also watch other teams that like underachieve based on their, their talent, right? So like, got one who's an Auburn fan. Yeah. Carlos watches Arsenal. And with Arsenal, it's like, they went undefeated in 2004, right? The Invincibles. Well, the Braves won the chip in 95. And that's what we hold on to. And every year it's just like this lineup could have 5 All-Stars. Right? Like potentially. Maybe not 5.
4.
What? Freeman, Ronnie,
and the one good pitcher. I mean,
Albies,
Freeman, Ozzy,
Ronnie,
Acuna, and then maybe Soroka.
Right, but we could get like 4 All-Stars out of this team, but I think the combined ERA is going to be above 5 because you've got a okay at 1, right? Like we think he's pretty good, which everything on Soroka says he's good, but then from 2 all the way down the rest of that rotation, it's just like, which Fulte are we going to get?
They could be great, or they could be really bad.
Right, and as soon as somebody hits a double off Fulte in the second inning, it's over. You know,
Will there even be an All-Star game this year?
No, it would be going on right now if there was one.
Okay.
But that's what I'm saying is like we could have had, you know, this is a good roster. Now we do get an All-Star game next year in Atlanta. We're hosting next year. So that's when I want to see, you know, if you sign up for the A list right now, you can secure your tickets for All-Star Week. I'm not convinced coronavirus is going to be gone next year. So I'm not paying.
That's real optimistic of you there, Lionel.
I'm not paying for shit.
That's like the Green Day concert I want to go to, and they rescheduled it for July next year, and I'm like, that's probably not happening. We're never gonna get anything back ever again.
So
as Micah enters the room,
yeah, Mike is back. I promise eventually we'll have YouTube versions up. It's just Ryan will probably have to edit it, you know, because
I'm on it actually. So I just have to add the titles, but I got them all. I'm gonna get it done.
Make sure you put that intermission music by Juan Solano in there, man. That shit is banging. All right, so speaking of things that aren't gonna happen, the NFL season. We've got like 6 days until training camps start, and there's been some NFL news. I know that we didn't have a chance to talk about it last week because we didn't do a podcast because I wasn't here. But just, you know, just to keep it fresh, we're going to talk about the stuff that happened in this last week, maybe a little bit. I want to start with the Washington Redskins.
The Washington who? The who?
The Washington Football Club has announced that they're changing their name from Washington Redskins to DC Redskins. That's right. The part that Dan Snyder didn't like was not the racist part. It was the Washington part. It's a little joke. I hate Dan Snyder. I think he's the Dolan of the NFL. He's a piece of garbage. I saw a thing where like they had a new 1-2 quarterback depth chart every year since 1995. Like,
yeah,
not surprising.
I mean, they ruined Robert Griffin III and Alex Smith's careers, and Dwayne Haskins. Let's just call it what it is right now. Adrian Peterson went there after he beat his kid.
That was a while.
There's only one organization that I think I hate more than I hate the Redskins, and that's the Saints, and that's because Gail Benson was helping the Catholic Church in New Orleans with PR to cover up their sex abuse crisis. But that's something that we want to talk about when we have someone who's a Saints fan on the show. So the Redskins, I've seen a bunch of different names. Have you guys seen some of these names?
The Red Tails.
Right.
What's some other ones that y'all heard?
I heard like a guy down in Florida tried to trademark 44 names just to prevent the Redskins from taking any of them.
Really? Like what, the Warriors? That one's pretty whack to me.
The Warriors is like the front runner, I think. Red Tails, Battlehawks, Red Hawks.
The Washington Battlehawks. That doesn't sound bad.
It sounds like a CFL team.
Yeah.
They need to take University of Hawaii's playbook and just go Rainbow Warriors. Boom.
Yeah, the Washington Black Lives Matter.
Right, the BLMs. Now I'm still. I either like just football club. I think that would actually be pretty cool. Or like I like the natives. I know y'all hated it, but I like it.
You know, I wish that we in the United States, especially for football, I wish that we would let nicknames happen organically, right? Like if we called like the Atlanta football team, right? Like the Atlanta Football Club, right? Mm-hmm. And the logo had, you know, a bird on it, we would just be like, it's the Dirty Birds. You know what I mean? Like sort of like how Arsenal's crest is. I talk about Arsenal all the time. Arsenal's crest is like a cannon, right? Because they were, they played across the street from an arsenal, right? And so their nickname is the Gunners. The 5 stripes are the 5 stripes because the crest has 5 stripes, But then the other thing that I wish that we did is we would stop doing this whole, like, we got to name it after an animal, like everyone's like, let's name it after an animal. Like
the honey badgers.
Be creative, dude. Like when you're playing Madden, you're like, all right, cool. I'm going to move a team to Los Angeles, which is what I did until I got a team. And now I moved them to Portland or San Antonio. They're like the San Antonio Bats.
The Bats.
Like,
I had a team called Key West. I forgot what the mascot was. But I know I created a team in Key West.
So in one of the leagues I'm in, the Bengals moved and they became the Miners.
Where did they go, to West Virginia?
They might have. I forgot exactly where they moved to, but it's just like 2 pickaxes crossed like that.
Yeah, it looks like the Hot Shots logo from the AAF. And like Madden used to let you move them basically wherever, but now and then like make your own designs and whatever, but now they have the ones for you. So you're like, I'm going to move the Jags to London. They're going to be the Bulldogs. Like, and then I realized that we don't have a Bulldogs yet, but we have like a ton of Bulldogs in the NCAA. So
Washington Bulldogs.
The Washington Bulldogs.
That actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it does.
It's better than the Warriors.
The Washington Warriors. Alliteration, guys.
Come out to play.
Fuck Washington. So sticking with football, which we're not going to play. Madden released some rankings. On the good side for our Atlanta Falcons, Matt Ryan is a top 10 quarterback in Madden. So
I think he's
that's
7th,
good,
right?
Yeah. On the downside, the massive disrespect for so many of these players, right? Like Julio got his due, but like Ryan, tell me how you feel about some of these Madden rankings, man.
What was Julio's rate? Can you pull it up?
Like a 98, 96. They dropped him.
96.
Okay. I mean, how do I feel? It goes in line with what Madden has been doing lately. I think it was 2016 where they just blew up their ranking system, because what you did have was like 20 to 30 people above like 95 in the game. So you would have these guys who really weren't superstars, but they were good at their position, performing like the elite players in the game. So they brought in people, and because years and years and years of people complaining about this, they essentially knocked everyone down, way, way down. And to make players that perform like superstars on Sunday perform like that on the game, they reserved only a certain amount of players at their position to be ranked above a certain rating. And then all the rest of them were in the mid to high 80s if they were good. And then the average players were like low 80s to 70s. So I like it. If only this was by another company other than EA, because then it would be a good game. You can still just speed wins in Madden. That's how it's always been. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, here's your rankings. Top 10 quarterback rankings.
Tom Brady's still 90. What are they thinking?
Yeah.
I think that was to keep his streak alive. That's the only reason.
BS.
Deshaun's an 86.
Even Drew Brees doesn't really deserve 90 anymore.
Drew Brees is 93.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That a lot of people had problems with that, like them being rated higher than guys like Deshaun, because Deshaun has to do more than both of them, but they're rated way higher.
Deshaun does not get the love.
Was Deshaun even top 10? Was he even top 10?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's top 86.
Yeah.
Right
He's
behind
like,
your boy Matt.
Yeah, I think he was 8th.
Yeah,
and Carson Wentz was like, why'd you take it away so fast? Were we like dealing with?
Yeah.
No, it
So
wasn't the
had-
rankings. It wasn't the rankings that I wanted. And I want to move on to a different question because I saw a better tweet and I didn't want to give it away. Micah,
Uh-huh.
what do you think the most important stat is for a quarterback?
Kind of hard to say because it's either awareness or accuracy, one of the two, probably.
I would say the most important stat for a quarterback is touchdown to interception ratio.
That's what I was going to say.
Talking about that, I thought you were talking Madden terms.
No, just in general. I'm moving away from Madden because I saw a better tweet, and this is going to make you angry. Touchdown interception ratio, right? Did you know in the history of the NFL, there have only been 5 quarterbacks who have ever had 35 or more passing touchdowns with less than 8 interceptions in a season? In the history of the NFL. More
Aaron
than
Rodgers.
35. Aaron Rodgers.
Peyton Manning,
Nope.
No, Brady,
Brady.
Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan.
Is it 5?
35 touchdowns, you said?
35 or more
Oh, so
with
not
8 or
Cam
less
Newton.
interceptions.
Cam Newton?
Nope.
No, not Cam Newton. Drew
A.A.
Brees?
Ron, Tom Brady, Matt Ryan. Who are my other 2?
Matt Ryan did it
Is
twice.
it-
Does that count?
No.
Is this like this era, or is it going back to
In NFL history.
Drew?
Nope. Russell Wilson
Mm-hmm.
and Lamar Jackson.
Jackson, let's go.
Isn't that amazing?
That is
Also,
Pretty good.
Micah, you suck. Matt Ryan is a great. He's great. He's an all-time great, Micah.
He's on every great list there is.
He's on every list. Every list you look at, the wins by quarterbacks, completion percentage, touchdown to interception ratio, yards per season, just at comebacks, everything. Every list you look at, Matt Ryan is like a top 6.
I'm not the one that's
like,
leading.
man, I wish
I'm not the one that's
Vic
leading
was
the
back.
charge that he's not a Hall of Famer, though. I'm not leading that charge.
Well, it
I
sounds
wish-
like you are.
I wish Vic was back, man. He threw three touchdowns in his whole career in the playoffs. We need that kind of energy on the team again.
The funny thing is, Marco, when he edited the clips, he has me saying that Matt Ryan's the best quarterback in history. Now, but
That was your words. That's what
but
you
y'all
said.
love to jump on me about everything Matt Ryan related. But I mean,
So speaking of people disrespecting Matt Ryan like Micah does, ESPN released a list of offensive arsenals, right?
Yeah.
Like ranking NFL teams based on their offense, and the Falcons were 12th. Behind the Giants was on that list.
I got you.
Ryan's got us. So I'll read the teams off that are ahead of the Falcons, and then
We're behind the Giant.
dude. All right, scrolly, Ryan.
So you want the whole list or just starting at 12?
Start at 12.
See all this garbage on the way down.
12, the Atlanta Falcons. Next. The Rams are 11. The Eagles are 10.
They literally had no one to throw to last season.
Right.
The Cardinals are 9. Up from 27. The Bills are 8. Up from 25.
The Giant. What
Giants
listen,
like
are
this is
7.
literally Saquon or bust. So I don't see how they're in the top 10.
Golden Tate, apparently. The
Golden
Aints,
Tate.
The Aints are 6. Fine. The Panthers
Just
are
because of Christian
5.
McCaffrey.
The Bucks are 4.
I'll take the Bucks. I mean, the Bucks have a great offense.
Yeah, fine. The Cowgirls are 3.
They underperform, but I mean, I'll accept that. The Browns.
The
talk about
Browns are
underperforming.
2. And who's number 1?
Weapons, the Browns should be up there, but
That's
The
true.
Chiefs, fine.
They
The
gotta
Chiefs
do
In a
are fine.
video game, the Browns should be really good.
How come Julio Jones doesn't get us higher than the Giants and the Panthers?
And Todd, because isn't Todd a part of our offensive arsenal?
yeah.
But Teddy Bridgewater and
Christian McCaffrey
are better than Matt Ryan, Todd Gurley, and Julio Jones.
and
Not to
Calvin
mention
Calvin. Not to
Calvin
mention
Ridley, Hayden Hurst, Ito Smith. Like, no, not to mention those guys. Just Teddy Bridgewater and Christian McCaffrey have more offensive, and like the 6 guys that they picked up in Orlando who walked out of the NBA bubble to play wide receiver for them. Like I don't understand.
Maybe
the Giants
maybe
was
thinking
the most
about it in the wrong way. Maybe their whole opinion was based on Dirk Cutter calling our offense.
It's sort of like how it's sort of the opposite thing that the Rams had, right? Like when the Rams went to the Super Bowl, they made it there because Sean McVay's play calling was better than Jared Goff was at quarterback, right? Like Sean McVay was, but Sean McVay was so good at calling plays because they would score some points. Sean McVay was so good at calling plays against people who weren't Bill Belichick that he made up for Jared Goff being a waste of space at quarterback. Sort of like what Matt Nagy is trying to do in Chicago, right? We have the opposite problem where we have probably a top 5 as far as talent goes, offense in the NFL. And we have to make up for the worst play caller in Atlanta history, who's back.
Round 2.
Round 2. Let's bring Bobby Petrino back while we're at it. Like,
no.
Let's run it back. God damn it, man.
Make Sark the president of operations.
Lane Kiffin. Bring him in, dude. Why not? I hate this team. What's this crap about Calvin Ridley posting videos of him running routes or something, Ryan? Talk to us about it.
So, yeah, he's been posting some workout videos here lately. And he was matched up against quite a few defensive backs. Let's see if I can find it. Ridley route running. Here it is. So let me bring it up. If I remember,
should have invited Tyreek. He should have invited Tyreek to run routes against him.
So, yeah, right. Oh, cool. Hey, in case y'all want some Starbucks.
Hot alternative girl with a mask.
Hey. I can't even skip it.
Oh, you gonna see this Starbucks ad?
All right, here we go.
Welcome to the adpocalypse, man.
So
with their Motorola phone,
he's been out here killing people. Yeah, right.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, he's been putting in some serious work. He's put on quite a bit of muscle too, he said. And I don't know if y'all saw it, but
scoop.
One of the biggest probably look at this, he just muscles him. Gotcha.
I don't
Matt Ryan said that he's prepared for Calvin to really break out this year because one of the problems he had with Calvin last year was Calvin is so fast and so quick. He would be through his route like 2 or 3 steps before he was supposed to, thinking he was running slow, but he was just burning through his route. So they met this offseason and got their timing down. So,
which is crazy to me because he's burning through his route fast, but Matt could always hit him in stride. But Julio, who he's played with for like a decade, he cannot hit him in stride. It's ridiculous.
Because Julio Jones is so freakishly fast.
Yeah.
Julio Jones is one of the top 5 fastest humans in the world.
No, but that made sense
fair.
Last week that maybe Julio has programmed him to like try to high point it too much.
Yeah.
And it makes him nervous. Or something happens where it's like it's not natural for him because they have some type of understanding.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, we don't want this anymore.
What a load of crap, man. The NFL season's not going to happen. This is trash. Sorry, I'm crashing from my
6
sugar
games.
highs. So, sugar, 6 games. We're gonna lose the first 3 and win the last 3. Dirk Cutter and Dan Quinn are gonna keep their jobs because we finished 500. And everybody like, man, if the season was 16 games, man, we would have got 13-3, bro. what a waste of
Yeah.
Matt Ryan's career. I blame Kyle Shanahan.
Well, that's just like another disrespectful ESPN article. I don't know if y'all remember a couple of weeks ago. I showed y'all this one where they ranked the all-decade team, and if you look on here,
Christian McCaffrey is that running back.
right? Yeah, Michael Turner didn't exist, or any of those other guys.
Michael Thomas and Mike Evans is on the all-decade team for wide receiver.
Like, I get the offensive line, us getting some.
I mean, I like Greg.
there.
Like Roddy White didn't exist.
Alex Mack. Ryan Khalil was good. He was really good, but Alex Mack's consistently one of the top 3 centers in the league every year.
Yeah.
But here's the surprising thing for me.
William Moore.
What? Strong safety, William Moore, and then Desmond Trufant was the next.
Not Rocky.
Well, not even that. Norman.
Josh Norman.
Devin has wasn't he like done like when he came here?
Yeah.
I mean, I know he broke the record here, but he was done.
Let's look at tight end right there. We have Greg Olson instead of Anthony Gonzalez.
Yeah. But Olsen did it longer.
I'll take Olsen.
Yeah.
But my question is,
Tony Gonzalez is a Hall of Famer. Suck my dick.
Who would you pick over Christian McCaffrey though? For the decade, because Michael Turner did better in the last decade.
Michael Turner, Darren Sproles, Mark Ingram.
Sproles yeah, that's true.
Sproles on the Saints was a nightmare.
Yeah, he really was.
That was this decade. Yeah, that was early this decade.
Yeah, and you got to think about it. This decade started like we had that NFC Championship run in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So like we've had Michael Turner was also this decade and he was unstoppable until all of a sudden he stopped. Right? But then you're also skipping, like I don't understand how you skip Darren Sproles, who is not only an excellent running back, but also a route runner, kick and punt returner, right?
Yeah. He probably would have been my choice for kick punt return, honestly, because like Marco said, Hester was
done.
He had like a
Eric
year.
Weems.
Oh God, he catches the ball. That's about it.
But he played for the Bucks too.
Special Weems, man. How is Optimus Grimes not on that list? That's
I was about to say, where's our boy? Why isn't Miko on that list?
How long did John Abraham? How long did he go into the decade?
Not very long.
Like 2012, probably.
11.
I want to say
he was on that team.
No, he was NFC. I think NFC Championship was the last year. Then that next year we let him go, and immediately dropped to like 2 years later. After we let him go, 2 years later, Mike Smith got fired. I think
10, 11, and 12. He was here.
Okay, yeah, I know he was here for that championship game.
Well, Osi Umenyiora is not on that list.
Ray Edwards.
God.
We've
been struggling to find a defensive end for so long.
He's also not on the all-decade list for UFC fighters. But for models, he is. He's a good cover model. Okay. I think that's good. I think that's it.
Let me just shout out Usman for holding it down for Nigeria this weekend. He was stomping all over that dude's feet.
Lightning round. What is your suggestion for a Washington Football Club team name? Mine is the Curly Fries, right? Everybody likes curly fries. Everybody likes potatoes. You've got a great branding opportunity with Arby's. You don't have to change the colors. It's the same colors. It's just, you do like a little curly Q sort of like, going off to the back like the Chargers lightning bolt, except it's, That's mine. Marco, what's your Washington Football Club
I call them the Washington corporate sponsors.
The Washington FedExes.
The lobbyists.
The lobbyists, the presidents. No, I was going with it.
The Washington Amazon piss bottles.
the Bezos. No, I'm going with the natives for real.
Okay. Micah.
How about you have your cake and eat it too? Call it the Redskin Potatoes. and just put some red spuds on there.
See, I'm not racist at all.
Ryan?
You know, I'm gonna either go the lobbyists or the filibusters. Filibusterers?
I like that. That's
Filibusters. And if you ask them that's why that's their name, they just go on a long speech and talk about nothing for the next 6 hours.
Get Miss McConnell to be their face.
Do you think Washington could potentially go even more racist?
It's always possible.
With Dan Snyder. And so I didn't get to do lightning round last week, so I'm going to do a bonus lightning round. I know the Braves have talked about not wanting to change their name, but let's be serious. We're like one more officer involved shooting away from having another round of protests and the Braves changing their name. What is your suggestion for the new Braves name? I have one. It's the Atlanta Black Crackers. That was the name of their Negro Leagues team.
Was it the?
Yeah, because the Atlanta Crackers was the name of the baseball team here for the longest time.
No, he's right. That's historically accurate.
And the Black Crackers was the name. And I think
I was thinking that was Birmingham. I think that was I was thinking that was Birmingham's team.
They played right by Ponce.
It was the Birmingham Black Barons. That's right.
And the Black Crackers is like the best name for the city of Atlanta. It's fantastic. The logo is dope because they did like the throwback hats a couple years ago. It's awesome. That's my vote. I'm in on it. Marco, what's your alternative Braves name?
Let's just take Washington's old name, the Atlanta Expos.
just to give a finger to the Nats. The Atlanta Redskins. Micah, what's your I saw a tweet that was like Jerry Jones has decided to rename the Dallas Cowboys to the Dallas Redskins now that the name is available. And that made me so happy. The Dallas Glory Holes. Micah, what's your new Braves name?
Oh man. I don't know. Just change it slightly. Atlanta Bravos, I guess, maybe.
The Atlanta Stone Mountains. Ryan, what's your?
So I'm going to go with the Atlanta Gamecocks, but instead of spelling it like South Carolina, spell it COX and put a picture of Bobby on the head of a rooster and call us the Gamecocks.
You know what? I'm into that. Could we cockle-doodle-doo at each other instead of the tomahawk chop?
Yeah.
Could you imagine? Because we already do the Ric Flair woo, right? Like you already hear that at Truist Park. So could you imagine it just like it's like quiet afternoon. Guys getting set to throw a second pitch. That's everything I want. All right, for Rex, let's do TV shows again. I've got one on HBO Now or HBO Max called I May Destroy You. It's fantastic. My alternate is a show called Briar Patch, which is 8 episodes starring Rosario Dawson. It was on USA. It's not on there anymore, but I bought it, and it's based on a book. It's incredible. Marco, what's your rec?
I think y'all had told me to watch this, but I finally checked out Watchmen, and that first scene, I was crying, man. That was powerful. But yeah, that show was good.
Rough.
Yeah,
the show was so good. Micah, what's your show rec?
You got to come back to me.
Oh God, Ryan.
I just started watching one just as a casual watch, and it's with someone I don't typically like too much, but it's Down to Earth on Netflix with Zac Efron.
Mm-hmm.
It's a travel show. He goes around and he shows you places and does things. And he's not that bad of a host, actually. I mean, he's a little broy. He's a little Efron.
He's a himbo.
Yeah. But it's pretty good. The dude he's with is kind of weird, though.
I ruined Zac Efron for one of my friends. She was tweeting about how she was like, Zac Efron's like got that thick daddy energy. How tall is he? And I was like, he's 5'8".
Really?
Damn.
Yeah. It's like, Micah, you watch television. I know you do. Just tell us the last thing you watched on TV. I feel like I'm hosting Celebrity Jeopardy. Like what's a color? Literally any color. Say blue.
But that's the thing. I really don't watch much TV. But the last thing I probably watched was probably diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Flavortown.
either that or Beat Bobby Flay, one of the two probably.
You know, I saw something online that was like we should change the name of Columbus, Ohio to Flavortown, and I am 100% on board with this. Christopher Columbus is the worst. All right, cool. I think that'll wrap it up. I think we hit everything in the rundown. I think we did pretty good. Thanks to our sponsor, Anchor. Anchor is the only one that's paying us to make this podcast. We use it to do our distribution. I've found it to be a really excellent platform. Thanks to our non-paid sponsors, specifically Sway Sauce. Carl just dropped a mango habanero and a peach habanero, which I picked up the peach the other day. You can find him on Instagram at SWAYY_sauce. They're running out of that peach. Hit him up. The shit's really good. I got a friend of mine in Pittsburgh bought some, and she's already emptied her bottles, and she bought them on the last drop, and she was like, I can't go back to another hot sauce. So if you're into hot sauce, check that out. Micah, who's your chef buddy for our unpaid sponsor?
Flu at Loving the Flu on Instagram or Flu University. So check him out. Hit him up. His food is ridiculous. It's amazing, and he's really creative. So hit him up. Try something, especially if you live in the Metro Atlanta area. His prices are reasonable as well. So
very good. Shout out to Juan Solano, who made our intro and intermission music. Find him on Instagram at JamesJuan007. He also spins under the name Vitillas. It's Spanish. Check him out on Facebook. He always posts videos about him like spinning outside of like a Talpa, like grocery store, and he's like chilling there in a mask and like his little tent, just like spinning reggaeton and just like
nice.
And it always makes me wish that I was a little bit less Caucasian. And check out our Instagram, Fish and Grits Pod. We've got a store up. Get you a T-shirt.
YouTube coming soon.
We've been rocking. We'll get some YouTube going a little bit. Hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, whatever. This has been Fish and Grits, the podcast.
Bye. Okay.
We'll see you guys next week. Be good to each other, everybody. Bye.